Hi Astro friends, it's Melanie on the 25th of June 2024 with the Astro Weather for the week going until July the 1st. So yes, how do you like summer? It's really here and on the West Coast, beautiful weather, warm, sunny, and not too hot. But I hear there's real extremes also happening in other parts of our planet Earth. Speaking of India, speaking of Mecca, right? Extremes and extremes for humanity, extremes for systems of society as well. And that in astrology can be seen through Pluto in Aquarius now, transitioning this year from Capricorn to Aquarius, right? So we are coming out of an old world with its structures, with its own rules, and history, basically, right? And we are moving into a hopefully clearer, more transparent, all of that is Aquarius, right? More egalitarian world, and where also systems need to be better considered. It's a system thinking rather than a linear, rather than a top-down, and so just a quick note on that. But with the Astro Weather this week, what are we looking into? Mostly the big themes are coming towards the weekend. Literally on the 29th of June, Saturday, the planet Saturn, which is also associated with SaturNday, right? Just as Sundays associated with the sun, Monday with the moon, so on. Lots of people are not consciously aware of that. Anyway, it's a Saturn day when Saturn in Pisces goes retrograde, and it's also the 29th, which is also a number associated with Saturn because Saturn has a 29-year cycle. Anyway, Saturn goes retrograde in Pisces back until November 15th. It does that every year. These years typically June to November. And what's that phase about? First of all, it's the first planet after Pluto, which already did that early May, to go retrograde and to open the retrograde season, which will culminate in October this year, when we have 5 to 6 planets retrograde. In August, Mercury will go retrograde again as well. And so it really kicks off with Saturn. And those of us with Saturn, born with Saturn retrograde, tend to be more familiar. I don't know whether I should say comfortable, but familiar with that energy of retrograde. Retrograde in general is a more introverted energy. So it can't quite use the formula of saying people lots of retrograde and retrograde planets are more introverts, but there's something to it. There's other factors as well. But the energy wants to go inward, backward. So we're looking back also into patterns and into themes that keep coming up for clearing, right? With Saturn, it typically has to do with the ruler of Capricorn, just mentioned regarding Pluto on the transition from Capricorn to Aquarius. So with Saturn, it typically has to do with structures, it has to do also with authority, the theme of authority, how we have experienced authority thus far or early in life. If we're born with retrograde, often there hasn't been really good experiences with authority, with parental authority, with authority through other role models, teachers, and so on. So if we're born with Saturn retro, we need to also find authority within and not take things on that could be put on us, like a scapegoat or like, blaming and judging and so on, and to be clearer of that and lighter, right? Because Saturn can be heavy energy, and currently in Pisces, it's the overall atmosphere that has turned quite heavy since Saturn's been in Pisces since last March 2023. And also due to the fact that there's an overwhelm in terms of everything is connected. This is a huge challenge, right? There are problems all over, and they all link to one another, are entangled. How to deal with all this, right? That can easily lead to overwhelm or escapism. And then there's a big drug problem, there's immigration problems everywhere, right? So there's a kind of a chaotic energy. And it requires, as Saturn goes retrograde, we really see the patterns, and it doesn't go away sort of by itself when it comes to Saturn. Yeah, so we need to do something about that, and we need to do inner clearing and inner energetic upgrade, right? Pisces is about the energy field. It's about how the vibrational and vibrational energy we exude, or also that we absorb, right? So Saturn retro says less is more. Saturn already says that, and Saturn retro is also about retreating and clearing and becoming more clear about the energy we do need to be connected with. Not just we want to, also we need to. It's kind of mandatory with Saturn, or we totally see the cause and effect if we are connected to a clearer energy stream and consciousness, right? And then we are also, in what regards are we open, right? Saturn is setting boundaries and being sensitive about that from a Pisces side and experience, right? So what is an energy field that is really conducive for well-being, our own well-being, and what we can feed into the field, and what is not conducive? And so to step away from that, and that could be also codependent tendencies. Talked about those quite a bit with clients these days, and addictions of all sorts, right? So again, not being in this whole fuzzy and chaotic mode, but at the same time being open spiritually and having a lot to offer from that place. Yeah, so Saturn retrograde, finding inner guidance, right? Then Lilith, also on Saturday, Lilith will make her last aspect before she leaves Virgo. Lilith has been in Virgo since last October, and now she goes into opposition with Neptune on Saturday before entering Virgo on Sunday for the next 9 months. What is Lilith? What's with this transit? What's with the transition to Libra? Lilith is known to be the wild woman archetype, but that's, in my sense, yeah, there's validity to that, but it's also a stereotype. So, wild woman, yeah. So, is it a female thing? And what's with that wildness? It's totally not a female thing. I think this is more the archetype that comes from Old Testament, Lilith, Adam, Eve, and so on, right? So it is our inner wild. It's the unconditioned self. So that's an interesting connection with Saturn, because Saturn has to do with conditionings and rules and structures that also protect us, but they can limit us, of course, right? And Lilith is beyond that, and she wants to bring us back to our natural state, so to say, before we were conditioned. How's that even possible? So maybe you want to look back at Lilith in Virgo in the last 9 months and see how you were guided to do what's really healthy, in alignment for you, and not worrying. That would be a Virgo thing, right? Not worrying about not looking good, or not being a good girl, good boy, kind of thing, but also not being in that Virgo scarcity mode, but see what is really for you in integrity. And integrity is a big thing for Virgo. In other words, being in alignment with your highest good, and then from that place, offering again also service in many ways. And Virgo is also related to priestess in her temple. So temple is your life, is your body, is your whole environment, right? And to clearing that temple with yeah, it's a sense of wholeness as well, right? So Virgo is very self-sufficient and into wholeness, do it yourself also, right? I can do this, I can resolve this. Do I need always somebody here to help me? Not necessarily. And yet we have now the juxtaposition between Lilith in Virgo and Saturn in Pisces, but also Neptune in Pisces. They go into opposition, as I said, on Saturday exactly, and it's been building up. So it's with oppositions, they're on two sides of the spectrum. They want to be bridged rather than alienated from each other, so that we are schizophrenic and live in two worlds, right? So bridging Lilith in Virgo and Neptune in Pisces could look like really being open, Neptune, to receive help on all sorts of levels that come your way. But of course, with Saturn also saying, okay, that's not a good vibration. There's all sorts of things that could come your way, but not everything needs to be taken in, right, and received. But totally being also about releasing and not so much the doing mode. Virgo is a lot in doing mode. Pisces is about being, right? It's about the vibration you give off has at least as much importance as the what you functionally do, and that's also all the body and energy field relationship, right? So what the energy we bathe in is definitely also good for our health. And then Lilith goes into Libra on the 30th, on Sunday, and will be in Libra until March 27th next year, 2025. So again, 9 months as usual. Lilith has a 9-year cycle. And also, by the way, everybody who is 9 or multiple of 9 years old has her Lilith return. It's always an interesting, really good time to honoring your own Lilith. Lilith is in the same sign that it was when you were born. So Lilith in Libra. So now it's about relationship. It's about balance. It's about peace. How do we find peace? So important in this world, rather than more chaos, more war, and more confrontation, and more aggression and more suffering. So maybe there will be unorthodox, I should say, opportunities to find peace in various situations. Wouldn't that be great? During Lilith in Libra. And unconditioning ourselves about what peace really means. Yeah. So is peace just end of war? Or where does peace start? That's the combination of Libra and Aries. Aries is where Chiron is in for still quite a while, or 2027. And so war and peace. And Lilith wants to bring us to a peace and a harmony, balance that is unconditional also, right? That doesn't mean unconditional surrender, right? Didn't say that, but it is about coming back to inner peace, right? And coming back to what really is in right relationship here, right? How can we establish or reestablish right relationship? And it starts within, of course, right? So when there's imbalance, when there's inner imbalance, it would be reflected in all your relationships, and also especially relationships with significant others. And so a good relationship starts from within, and very important Lilith in Libra theme. I will write about Lilith in Libra. Haven't put too much thought into it yet. That's why this is still a bit raw, what I'm saying now. But you'll find my article on the blog, as usual, just also as the article for Saturn going retro. Then also this week, yeah, so on Monday next week, we have July 1st, Canada Day, Colonial Canada Day, and the first day of the second half of 2024. So we are then also entering the second decade of Cancer. We're still in the first decade since summer solstice until also June. Sorry, I'm saying February. June 30th. So until June 30th, with first decade, which is all about homecoming, belonging. It has an extra Cancer undertone. So we're coming also home into our emotional realm. It's the first water sign. Lots of feelings are coming up, lots of memories, reflections, and then the whole thing goes deeper as we enter the second decade of Cancer until July 11th, July 1st till 11th. And that has a Scorpio undertone. So there's tribal, there's family themes maybe that need to be processed, right? And it's interesting that also both Canada and the United States have their birthday, so to say, within that Cancer Scorpio dynamic. So we see a lot of that, of course, currently in the States especially, and also in Canada, but to a lesser degree, of course, right? Also since there's smaller country, no elections, you know it. So anyway, so we're going into that second decade, and in that second decade will be also the Cancer new moon that we'll have on July 5th. Definitely super relevant for the US again, one day after their Independence Day, and more about that next time. Then, yeah, what's with the moon this week? The moon is currently in Aquarius since Sunday evening. Yes, today's Tuesday. Since Sunday evening. And that was after the full moon in early, just cuspy, right on the cusp of Capricorn. Quite the kicker, I must say, for heard that from a few people and also experienced that. So much came up with that full moon. Also regarding, again, integrity. This was on the integrity point from Sagittarius Capricorn. And then also, yeah, and allowing ourselves. So it was also quite a contrast between children and elders, right? That's also Cancer Capricorn in so many ways. We talked with a friend whose birthday is on December 22nd. So she was born on the first day of Capricorn, and the full moon was right on her sun. And from a Capricorn perspective, she mentioned, yeah, this is not really an adult society here. So many kids and adolescents, we have to all grow up. And then we even see it in the governments, right? So there's also children, and there's really senile people in charge. I'm just saying it, okay. Yeah. So that contrast, where are the adults, right? Where are the mature adults stepping up and going into responsibility and leadership? Then, yeah, and that would have come up in us as well, right? The inner child, the inner elder with that full moon. And now the moon is in Aquarius. So there's more perspective, there's more freedom, right? We're not so in the thick of it anymore, of that full moon. And we can see the bigger system about it all, and we can be more detached also, looking at things, and maybe share also with friends and like-minded people. Then the moon goes today's Tuesday, into Pisces this evening. And yeah, before I say something about that, because we're today is also the day when Venus in Cancer squares the nodal axis. So what's that about? So that's again the Cancer energy, in this case not in contrast to Capricorn like with the full moon, but in contrast with the South Node in Libra, talked about Libra before, and Aries. Libra is where the South Node is, where Lilith goes into, where it's all about partnership, balance, harmony, relatedness, and so on, culture. And with Aries, where Chiron is currently and still for quite a while, is where the North Node is. This is more about the self. This is more about the presence and no comparison, right? So Aries, Libra is a lot about even comparing this and that or oneself with another, and then how do I compare, and how do people see me and all of that. Do I get likes? Am I liked? And with Aries about authenticity and new approaches and being present, right, and being more raw in that regard. That's where the North Node is, where Chiron is. So there's quite an incentive here, and that's the medicine of stepping forward, being brave, making the first step, doing it yourself, and also, yeah, authenticity, warrior medicine in that regard. And Venus in Cancer is kind of between these two forces. So she is very, she needs uh, gentleness, she needs kindness, she needs softness, she needs nurturing experiences. She's very sensitive, so she might feel like, oh yes, uh, I might want to be with these people, but then I'm recoiling into my shell again, and so I can be myself again, for example, right? And or she can feel, oh, this is too aggressive out there. Let me just do something where I can find peace. But then she might feel like now it gets boring, and so there's this navigation between the emotional side, the very sensitive side, and also the caring side, right? Do you care? Do people care about each other? Are they compassionate and empathic with each other? And at the same time, also authentic, but not aggressive. And also, Libra, good harmony and balance, but not at the expense of making compromises and being fake, right? So, yeah, back to the moon. The moon goes into Pisces this evening or just 11, shortly, yeah, 11 o'clock, 11 p.m., 11:08, and will be in Pisces all day tomorrow, the 26th, all day Thursday, the 27th, until Friday morning after midnight. So that Pisces energy of the moon brings in even more watery, even more not just emotional Cancer, but also um, the ethereal Piscean energy. So really good to tune into the energy field where you might need to wash things off, release, and also take in good vibes. And with Saturn, also protect yourself, right? So Saturn, Moon, they come together on once a month, and that will be this time on Thursday, the 27th in the morning. It's also good to create a container, safe container for what wants to be coming up and release. I'm saying release also since it's a waning moon, right? And washed out. And then the moon in Pisces will even meet Neptune on the 28th in the morning, so 1:45 a.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. And that can be a huge outflow, right? And letting go, right? Also, both Saturn, as I said, and also Neptune are currently stationary. So they are huge, big influences, right? And and it's a waning moon, right? So it's really an outgoing energy of the old, almost anticipating with the moon meeting Saturn, then meeting Neptune, both at the end of Pisces, almost anticipating what we're going to see next year in summer 2025. And again, in February 2026, we'll have the alignment of Saturn and Neptune. But by then, they're just barely out of Pisces into early Aries. So it's a huge transition, also mirrored by Saturn Neptune, um, out of an old era, maybe literally the Pisces age in this case, and we're entering a whole new era and a whole new energy field. So now it's about when the moon this year meets Saturn and Neptune both in Pisces, it's about release, right, of the old, like all, for example, victim consciousness, right? I'm not saying there's no victims, like there's super lots of victims of violence everywhere and suffering and war victims and all that, right? And yeah, but I mean more a consciousness, an unnecessary association with being the victim, right? And then having a certain identity around that, right? And yeah, victim, perpetrator, savior, also identifying with a savior or identifying with a martyr. All of that is really a codependent dynamic, very entangled, and always is built on suffering. So can we come out of that? And we have also inherited in a way, right, with Saturn. There's been a history about that, and our ancestors have lived through that. So we are here this time to really help release all this energy and open up for a whole new era, whole new time, whole new zeitgeist. So then the moon goes into Aries on the 28th. In the morning will be almost all day 28th in Aries, 29th in Aries, until again the morning of the 30th, that's Sunday. So with the Aries moon, typically there is always renewal. There's a refreshing energy, there's a raw energy, there's an adventurous energy, there's more an outgoing energy, and especially important now, the lunar progression through the month is really important because we're in a Cancer season, which is ruled by the moon. So this moon, we'll notice the moon in Pisces quite a bit. Also, since it connects with Saturn, Neptune, but then with Aries is a huge shift because now the Aries moon will connect with Chiron and will connect with the North Node. So that will be both on Saturday. Yes. So there is more again the shift to be all new, right? Everything is new, and we're going into a whole new a spirit, right? So we are stepping out. We are brave. We are showing ourselves in a new way. We're facing a situation bravely. We're showing our face, and we're putting it out, right? And then if things don't work, that's okay with Aries because at least you did it, and then off to something new that might land, that might be better, right? It's all a learning experience. There's no mistakes, right? This is also what Jupiter in Gemini says. So much learning, lifelong learning. Jupiter in Gemini this year. Then the moon will go into Taurus, where the moon is exalted, very well positioned on Sunday morning, well, at 5 o'clock or so. Pacific always here, right? And so the moon will be in Taurus on Sunday and on Monday and Tuesday morning until Tuesday morning. So the whole rest of this Astro News week. And moon in Taurus brings grounding, brings more, so we're tuning also more into stability after there could have been a lot of turmoil with the Pisces energy, and then Aries also, right? So grounding, stability, food, anything that nurtures and nourishes us, our senses. Slowing down is always beautiful with Taurus moon. Enjoyment, nature, right? It would be wonderful with Taurus moon, Cancer sun, to go to nature, be in the water, by the water, or go to a beautiful festival, which I plan to do, listen to music, hang out on the lawn, and so on. Yeah, I guess that's it. I wanted to talk a little bit still about Tuesday, but I leave it with that. Just a quick preview. Tuesday the 2nd is the day when Neptune goes retro and when Mercury enters Leo. So more about that next week, and also again in the blog where I write articles about all these shifts. I wish you a beautiful week, and yeah, enjoy summer, and hope to see you out there or at a session, and otherwise you can see me again here on video. Bye.